Thanks to the support as a channel member, Stephen Paul. Well, here we go then, boys and girls, into the final season of rebuilding Barcelona. 1 year to go. The debts will be cleared. Will we have won the Champions League? I think probably not, based on what's happened in the last season. But we have got £90 million to spend this summer. If we can add 2 or 3 real top-tier players to the squad for that kind of money, which is no mean feat, we might just have a chance. Hello and welcome to part 20 of Rebuilding Barcelona. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our season review and transfer special for the end of season 3 going into season 4. We played quite a few matches since the last episode. We don't need to talk about what happened in the last episode. As you can see, we relatively easily went and won the league. The one worry would be that we lost to Real Madrid. That's the first time Real Madrid have beaten us in the league in the save in 3 years. We still finished 19 points above them. I don't think we need to worry too much. Tammy Abraham's still finishing top scorer on 26. We've got the 3 best players in the league in Grimaldo, Depay and Sula. The league went really rather well. These odd results towards the end of the season are when we're playing massively rotated sides. I did a lot of, once we'd secured the title mathematically, I did a lot of experimentation. Torres up front, Gavi getting lots of game time, Ihata and Nico, Sandri. We were even playing Joel Matip for a little while. He will be going back to Liverpool now his loan is complete. But we won the league. That was all that mattered. We had a successful season. We will consider it a successful season because we won the league. We also beat our previous record for average attendance, and financially, before any of the sponsorships and stuff come in, with a year to go, considering we started with £1 billion worth of debt, we're 1 year to go and we've got 250 million left. We are exactly on course for having this debt repaid, which is perfect, really. And hopefully we get to the point this summer. I would like by the end of this episode for that net debt to have hit 0, or even start reversing in the opposite direction again. I don't know if it goes into the positive or if it just stays at 0 once there is no net debt. But I would quite like to hit 0 or beyond this summer, because obviously over the course of the year we still have these monthly payments, so it will start to creep back down again, and then we might have to do one last summer of transfers at the end of the season just to officially finish on 0 before we go 5 years into the future. So we might do transfers, then resign, then 5 years, just to make sure it works. But before that, we need to win the Champions League, and to do that, we need to put together a decent team. So let's quickly run through what we know about this team. Grimaldo set a record for new average rating. That's lots of stuff that's not relevant to us. Our overall best 11 over the course of the save now is pretty much the team that we've got now. PK's still in there. Aguero's still in there. Tammy Abraham is in on the right-hand side. I've been thinking about Tammy Abraham. I've been pondering Tammy in the shower, as you do. And I love Tammy Abraham, and Arsenal are trying to sign Tammy Abraham. And part of me thinks that's the problem. It's only Arsenal that are looking to sign Tammy Abraham. And if we look at his return over 2 years at Barcelona, yes, that looks really good. 20 goals from 26 appearances, 26 goals from 36. But the problem we've got with Tammy Abraham is when you look at him in the Champions League, in fact, last year disproves this completely. He got 9 and 11 in the Champions League last year. This year, only 2 goals in 8 appearances in the Champions League and a 6.7. Tammy Abraham was a Champions League flop this year. Is he the problem? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's a problem. I don't know. He certainly failed in the Champions League this year, and we really did struggle to score goals. But obviously, it wasn't a lack of scoring goals that got us knocked out ultimately. It was conceding goals away from home. So I'm thinking possibly for away games in Europe, it might be time to bring back the Barcelona 4-3-3. We've now got Declan Rice, who could sit in front of a back 4, or Frankie de Jong could sit in front of a back 4 and do a more traditional Barcelona formation that might be a little bit more solid defensively. Does mean sacrificing Isco or Pedri or Torres or whoever might have been in there as the attacking midfielder, but we'll toy with that as the summer goes on. Season review. We'll race through this relatively quickly. We won we won La Liga and the Supercopa de España. Looking at our new signings from last summer, Andrea Pepetti got signing of the season, which again, I think illustrates something of a problem because Pepetti only played 20 times and I would still consider him a backup. But he did average a 7.19, 10 goal contributions from 20 starts as well. Maybe I should stop considering Pepetti a backup. Maybe if he starts in that game against Inter, maybe we don't lose 6-0. Maybe Pepetti is a starter for me now, especially because we've got the contract issue around Eric Garcia that we've talked about before, where he's coded wrong in the database and there is nothing we can do to convince him to extend his contract. So maybe this is a summer for Eric Garcia to move on, maybe bring in a replacement for him, cash in on him while we can, and go with Sula and Pepetti as our defensive partnership going forward. Pedro Porro, also a very good season, only 27 appearances. I'm a little bit surprised by how low that is. Now, obviously, we did rotate a lot towards the end of the season, and he did have a spell where he was injured. I feel like he was a starter when he was available, just not available very often. A 7.16 for him, a 7.16 also for Declan Rice, who's now showing as an elite midfielder. I think that justifies the decision bringing him in. Joel Matip actually did better than expected. He played a lot of games towards the end of the season, 7.14. And Marcus Leonardo, who we sent out on loan to Lyon, 18 goal contributions from 24 starts playing for Lyon in Ligue 1, suggests he might be a very good option for us as a striker going forward. Maybe we don't need to go and bring in a new one. Maybe we need to draft Marcus Leonardo back into the squad and have him compete with Pedro and Tammy Abraham, because, of course, Pedro and Sandri will now get their Spanish passports this summer, so won't count as foreign players anymore. So we can actually bring one more in. If we add Leonardo into the squad, we can then still add one more in, I think. Other than that, Gundogan was a flop. He didn't work out anywhere near as well as Hector Herrera, and we'll be moving him on this summer. And Facundo Torres, big flop. 11 million pounds, had high hopes for him. I mean, really, his big problem is that Pedri exists. I brought him in to be an attacking midfielder, but Pedri had a real breakout season, and Torres just never really got a look in. Only 6 starts. When he did start, no goal contributions, only a 6.74. I think we probably look to move Torres on this summer as well, mainly because Isco is still contributing, and I think I'd rather have Isco as the guy competing with Pedri and make squad space by getting rid of Torres. You saw before, I was experimenting with Torres as a striker towards the end of the season. That wasn't working either. So if we can't fit him in anywhere, we may as well cash in while the going is good. And we were looking to challenge for the league title. We won it again. 3 years in a row we've won La Liga. Like we said before, we set a new record in the game world anyway for average home attendance, which is very nice. We just don't want to talk about the Champions League. Don't want to talk about it. Top scorer in the Champions League, bearing in mind we played 8 games, top scorer is Memphis with only 3 goals. We didn't score enough goals in the Champions League this year. We drew away against Lazio, struggled to beat Sporting at home, lost to United at home and away, struggled to beat Lazio at home, drew away against Sporting, struggled to beat Inter at home, got thrashed away. In 8 matches, there was no good, we didn't have a good match. At any point, did we play really, really well? That's a big problem. We need to figure out a way to get back to the team that got to back-to-back Champions League semi-finals. I'm not really sure what we've done to fall so far in the Champions League. It's not like it was a horrendous group. Yeah, Man United are good, but we should be better than Lazio. We should be better than Inter, and we're not. I'm not entirely sure I know why, especially when we can do this domestically. Yeah, Leganés, not that impressive, but we did stick 6 past Real Madrid as well. I know they had Longley sent off in the first half, but we were already ahead when that happened. The La Liga's just not very good, I don't think. Sponsorships and stuff, and income in general, we knew this would fall a little bit this year because we got knocked out of the Champions League so early. That's an example of how much of a difference that makes. Less than £30 million in prize money this year compared to £87 million from the year before. Matchday revenue's down, corporate hospitality's down, broadcast revenue down, all as a result of the early Champions League exit. It doesn't help with the debt repayment stuff, but sponsorship is up slightly. Lovely old stuff. And Memphis sells more shirts than anybody else. Memphis, Fati, Abraham Sula and Pedri as the big shirt sellers, and this is our team of the year. Ter Stegen in goal, back four of Grimaldo, Garcia, Sula and Porro. De Jong and Rice in midfield, Depay, Isco and Fati behind Abraham up front. And it is interesting to see that for the second year in a row, Frenkie de Jong not really performing. Only averaging less than a 7 2 years in a row. The only player in that 11 to average less than a 7. You look at that at face value and you think Frenkie de Jong might be the weak link. And I do wonder, we have had big offers from him in the past. If Manchester United want to come in and give us 120, 130 million pounds for Frenkie de Jong, I'm not against it. I don't know what the plan would be as a replacement. But if he's not performing, move him on. Don't see the harm in that at all. Club awards, Depay got Player of the Year. Young Player of the Year is Garcia, who is at 23 already showing as an elite centre-back. It's going to be a shame to have to move him on. Papetti signing of the year, as we know. Goal of the season is for Depay. Top scorer was Abraham. Most assists, Depay. He also got most man of the matches. Alex Grimaldo got the highest average rating, and Sandri has the best pass completion. We also have the Spanish best goalkeeper in Marc-Andre ter Stegen. I also think got third in World Goalkeeper of the Year, or whatever the award is. Dest got North American Player of the Year. Fati, Spanish Young Player of the Year. In fact, how does that work? They've both won. Both Fati and Pedri have won Young Player of the Year. Not quite sure how that's happened. And Tammy Abraham, this must be for the year before, Champions League Golden Boot. But he didn't get that this year. These are old awards. Weird. Let's not worry about them anymore then. Finish that off. Club Vision, they're looking for us to challenge for La Liga and reach the quarterfinals again and continue working within the wage budget. That's all doable. Of course, our big goal is to make sure we end up debt-free. So that's a little bit more important than whatever their silly goals might be. If we add our plans in, yes, we want to keep winning the title, and we also want to get into the latter stages of the Champions League. The squad seem on board with that. That is a very small squad of players. Yikes! Where is everybody? And then where are we going to go? We're going on holidays to the USA. Why not? And here's your confirmation of this stuff again. So Grimaldo getting Player of the Year. Tammy Abraham, top scorer for the second year in a row. Ter Stegen, Goalkeeper of the Year. Big Kev, big manager of the year. Weird way to phrase it. And then there's your La Liga Team of the Year, which is very different from the Media Dream 11, which has Real Madrid dominating. When it comes to actual performances on the pitch, we dominate. And really interesting to see that we have the goalkeeper in the entire back four, despite being defensively inept in the Champions League. We also have our two main attacking players getting in there. The big thing, you know, is midfield. None of our midfielders are in there. We already know about De Jong struggling. Declan Rice only joined mid-season. Isco's made it onto the bench, but it seems that even with bringing in Declan Rice as our biggest signing of the save so far, central midfield is still a problem area for us. We don't have that real top quality central midfield player. And I wonder if it's Pedri. I wonder if we now withdraw him back into central midfield a little bit more, bring Isco back into the team up here, or promote Demir. Demir could quite easily step into that attacking midfield spot. Gavi could get involved. Maybe Pedri and Rice. And maybe we do move De Jong on. I think either way, we still need another body in central midfield. I know it says we've got 27 of them at the club, but realistically, we've got De Jong, who might be leaving. Pedri at the moment is part of the attack. Declan Rice, he's a nailed-on starter, but Grimaldo's a left-back. Isco's an attacking midfielder. Then we've got the kids. We need another midfielder, even if De Jong stays. If De Jong goes, we probably need two more. I wonder if we need a striker or if it's time to put Ansu Fati up front. People have been telling me to do it. Maybe it's time to trial Ansu Fati as a striker. But then if we do that, who goes out wide? That's a potential route in again, I guess, for Demir. We need another source of goals. I don't think we necessarily need anybody in attacking midfield. We've got Pedri, we've got Torres, we've got Isco, we've got Demir. We've got plenty of options there. But I think we need one more player who can play in any of these roles, whether it's someone to come in as an out-and-out striker or someone who can come in on the wings and allow Fati to play up front on occasion, the way Depay did for some of this season. I'm not sure. Defensively, I don't think we really need to fiddle too much. Garcia, Sula, Papetti is fine. If we let Garcia go, then that can be something that we have to replace. But to be honest, because it's a database error, part of me is happy to just pretend that's not happening, because I think in real life, in these circumstances, he's already signed a new long-term contract by now. He's our captain. I think he does a PK and stays until he's an old man. So I think I'm probably comfortable keeping Garcia. So Garcia, Sula, Papetti as our three. De Jong and Rice can both play back there if need be. And then you've got Grimaldo, Porro, Dest, Baldi, all able to play fullback. We've got ter Stegen as one of the best keepers in the world and some decent backups. I think the money's got to be spent here. We've got to go one central midfielder and then one striker who can play wide or winger who can play up front. We want another Ansu Fati or another Tammy Abraham, that kind of player who can play in all these roles and just offer us another goal option, another Memphis Depay, that kind of player. Now, I'm not sure who that kind of player might be. If we have a look at what's available for strikers, have I got any other filters on there at the moment? No. So strikers that are available. Lukaku's too old. Dybala's too old. Kane's too old. Wilfred Nonto. Sign whatever the price. I mean, yeah, maybe someone like this. I bet he costs a fortune. Actually, he's not that expensive at 64 million. 20 goals in the Bundesliga this year just gone. Maybe he's an option. Messi would be perfect, but presumably still not interested. I mean, bringing Messi back now would be ideal. And then you go a little bit deeper and I don't know, maybe that guy is the one. Maybe we look for, is it Gnonto? I guess it's a silent G. And then if we're looking for a central midfielder as well, what have we got that might be in our price range? If we're spending 2/3 of our budget on that guy, for our other central midfielder, Odegaard, he's going to be very expensive. Would have been nice to get him the year before, but he's just had a fantastic season for Juventus. So maybe someone like Odegaard, who's got plenty of experience now. Kante's too old, really. Although, I mean, 33. Come in and do the Hector Herrera role. Someone like Kante, maybe. Yuri Tielemans, 27 years old now. He's at Bayern Munich. So another example of would have been nice to get him before his big move. Tielemans might be an option. Pogba's too old. Jude Bellingham's going to cost an absolute fortune. It's not obvious what we do here. How is Kai Havertz? Is Kai Havertz really that young? He's 21 in real life. Are you serious? That's absurd. He can't be that young, can he? Can he? Is Kai Havertz that young? How much would he cost? He's at Paris Saint-Germain. So, yeah, unattainably expensive. Another example of would have been nice to get him before his big move. Although, to be fair, we wouldn't have been able to afford that either. To the drawing board. I've just had a chat with my director of football and this guy's name has come up. Now, I know a lot of you have said about him before. Youssoufa Moukoko, the cheat code, as he's referred to regularly. Spurs, Juventus and Leipzig are in for him. He's at Bayer Leverkusen now, having joined them on a free transfer. Actually hasn't scored as many goals in Bundesliga as the other guy we were just looking at, who is a year older, but has started playing for Germany. He's going to cost twice the price of Gnonto. With us only having a year to go, I would suggest he's the better option. He's quicker. Mokoko's more physical, better mentals, better in the air. I mean, he's better at a lot, better attacking, better technical. He's bigger. 6'1" compared to 5'7". But look at the difference in current ability. Statistically, they played roughly the same amount of games, but Gnonto scored twice as many goals just had a much, much better season. And we can get him for 64 million, whereas he's in a range of 60 to 112 million. Nonto comes in as the best striker at the club. Moukoko comes in 7th. If we were going to be at this club for another 3 or 4 years, I think it's a no-brainer. I think we go over here. If we're looking for someone to help us win the Champions League this year, I think it's this guy. Now, as you know, we talked about before, I don't look at the Wonder Kids lists or anything like that on FM deliberately because I don't like spoilers. I've obviously heard this name because it comes up in the comments a lot. I've never heard this Nonto guy be mentioned. Which, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Tielemans has been recommended by the director of football as well. So that's 2 sources recommending Tielemans. Maybe Tielemans. Tielemans is probably the man to come in and replace Frankie de Jong if de Jong goes. We get Tielemans and a striker this summer. I think they're big, big signings that make a big, big difference. But we need to be able to afford them both. And at the moment, we can't. We're not buying anybody on installments. So who are we selling to fund it? Gundogan for almost nothing. There's not really anyone else obvious who's going to be leaving. So I would speculate we possibly can't even afford both. Unless we adjust budgets, even then. I think this helps make the decision when it comes to a striker. Nonto was actually one of the top scorers in the Champions League this year at 20 years old. 8 goals from 11 appearances for Leipzig in the Champions League. Whereas Moukoko, was he playing in the Champions League? I can't remember who Moukoko is playing for. But he is at Leverkusen, who were also in the Champions League. So hold on then. Where is he? So he's considered their key player. He got 2 goals from 7 in the Champions League at 6.74. And he's wanted by Tottenham, Juventus and Leipzig. Whereas Nonto, not wanted by anyone, but got 8 from 11 at a 7.11 in the Champions League. 10 from 5 in European Championship qualifiers. Oh, that's under 21s, okay. But still, I think this is the guy. Right, we've made an offer, and I think another reason he's the one over Moukoko, £64 million release clause. So we've met his release clause after a little bit of negotiation, whereas Moukoko, I don't think has a release clause, which does make things a little bit trickier. His release clause is 90 million, which would take our entire budget. If we get Nonto for 64, that's going to leave us like 25 million-ish. But once we've rebalanced budgets and stuff, I kind of want to get Tielemans as well. I mean, he'd be perfect, but we can't afford them both. Gundogan's just turned down his move away from the club, which is not ideal when it comes to lowering salaries. I certainly think we need a striker. So I think striker, Tammy Abraham flopped in the Champions League. We've got one of the Champions League top scorers hopefully coming in. And then we just need a central midfielder to go with him, which I'm thinking is probably Tielemans. Although I've now lost him. Or Jack Grealish. I use Jack Grealish as a centre mid a lot in the Streamer Showdown. If we're going to be... Now, it only really works if we do go to a 4-3-3. But if we're going to play Declan Rice behind de Jong and someone, that someone wants to be a Grealish or a Havertz, that kind of player, or an Odegaard. Is that an 87? We haven't got 87 million. Why do I care if that's a release clause? Maybe we just have to go Kante, and Kante's in our price range. Yeah, he's a little bit older, but he can do 1 year. Rice, Kante and de Jong. The only problem is going to be his wages, I think. We can convince him to come. He wouldn't be interested in joining Barcelona under any circumstances. What's happened to this football club? We're Barcelona, for goodness sake. Ugh. Right, couple of bits of news. Nonto is in, or at least coming in, for £64 million. Joins us on the 1st of July. And he's also just won Germany's Players Player of the Year and Bundesliga top goal scorer. So I think that's a real top tier Barcelona level signing as far as I'm concerned. But it does mean we've now only got £24.5 million left, which if we assume, let's say £150,000 a week for a new player, our wages are creeping back up again. But we could take that budget down to 2.95 a week, which then gives us, puts it up to like 32. So we've got about £30 million to spend on a midfielder unless we sell somebody. The only somebody realistically we would sell would be Frankie de Jong. So if we were to sell de Jong, so let's say we sell de Jong, we get 70% of transfer revenue retained. We'd need to sell him for, because if we sell him, we've got to buy 2. If we sell him for, let's say, 120 million, that's going to give us like 75 to go with the 30 that we've got. So we're looking at about 100-ish million to spend. Can we bring in 2 midfielders for 50 million each? And I don't think we can. Looking at the price ranges of these players, we could potentially go back in for Kessie. That wouldn't be the worst plan. We could go back in for him, but then we do need someone with a bit more attacking flair, like a Grealish or a Tielemans. I don't think we get Kessie and Grealish for 100 million. I think we're kind of stuck. The money is a problem again. Right, I've decided the sensible thing to do is go with what we've already got in midfield, because we've got Gavi and Nico there ready to go. Let's not bring someone in their way. If we're looking for a Jack Grealish, Kai Havertz kind of player, there he is. We'll use Gavi. Nico can play a little bit deeper. Let's be sensible and use those guys. So because of that, the money that we were going to spend on a midfielder, we're now investing in some younger players. I know some of you will say in the comments, what's the point of getting younger players when you've only got a year left at the club? We've got that 5 years in the future video as well. Part of this is not just to pay off the debt now and keep Barcelona competitive now. I want to leave the club better than I found them. And if we don't manage to win the Champions League this year, I'd still consider them winning the Champions League in 2 or 3 years a success, because that means we set them up nicely to be able to do it, as long as they've not put themselves massively back in debt to do it. So we've got some young players coming in. Jan Bender is a 17-year-old Czech centre-back. These lads have all got a lot of potential. He's 6'6". Love a 6'6" centre-back. Pal, I don't know what the accent on the A does. Röhring. He came up on the scout report over and over and over again. 17-year-old Norwegian with bags of potential. He looks like he's going to be something really quite special. He's coming in as well for 4.2 million. Michael Petter is a winger, 16-year-old Czech under-20 international, who is joining us from, that's the wrong button, joining us from Slavia Prague. And then I think we already had Juan Carlos Reyes arranged from a previous year. He's already got 1 full cap for Mexico already at 18 years old. Another one with 5-star potential joining us from Pumas, which of course, as everybody knows, is the greatest badge in world football. So it's nice to sign someone from them. And of course, Nonto coming in as well, who's showing on here as a midfielder. It's a little bit alarming. I guess he can play as a shadow striker. We're obviously going to be using him as a centre forward because he was Bundesliga top scorer and one of the top scorers in the Champions League this season just gone. I wish we'd have seen him when he got released on a free by Inter. So we have reached the 1st of July, which means a transfer o'clock. There's just a few players leaving. But the most important thing is the boys who are coming in. It is Wonder Kid Central. So Juan Carlos Reyes, classed as a Wonder Kid, 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential right winger. He's the current Mexican international, which is an awesome signing. Nonto, we already knew about, 3.5-star current ability, 5-star potential. He is, if we look at him as a striker on star rating, just behind Ansu Fati, already better than Tammy Abraham with the potential to get much, much better. And the thing I really like about Gnonto is how fast he is. We know how much from previous series pace can absolutely ruin this match engine as an advanced forward. 18 acceleration, 19 pace is just ridiculous. And when you add that to his finishing and composure that he's got as well, this lad is going to score 40 goals this season. He is just going to absolutely destroy everything in his path. Watch him be rubbish now. Everything I know about FM21 tells me that is a superstar. Röhring is in, 2-star current ability, 4-star potential, not quite as good as all the scout reports suggested he would be. But for context, that 2-star current ability puts him roughly level with Gavi, Gundogan, Sandri, Demir. So certainly not to be sniffed at. Decent potential as well. Still only 17. He has got plenty of time to continue his development. Bender, not quite so great. You always get one that goes a bit wrong. And then Michael Petter, the Czech international. The problem he's going to have is he's a right winger. Either him or Reyes are going to need to learn to play on the left-hand side. And Reyes is the wonder kid. So this guy is going to have to learn to play on the left-hand side, I think, if he's going to have any chance to break into this team. But that's 5 signings. 2 of them are certainly going to be in the first team mix. I mean, Gnonto is probably our starting striker now. I probably will start Tammy Abraham on the first day of the season and let Gnonto force his way in off of the bench. But I imagine it won't take him very long to force his way in and be our regular starting striker, whereas Reyes will go into that mix with Fati, Demir, Pedri, Memphis, the players who can play out wide. He'll be competing with all of those. He's also very, very quick and a good option for us as well. So that's 2 players in. I would still like a first team quality central midfielder. We've got a recruitment meeting now. What do they think we need? A right winger. We've just signed 2. A central midfielder, which definitely I agree with. A ball playing defender, I don't think we need, although we have lost Joel Matip, but I don't think that takes into account the fact that Rice and De Jong can both play there if need be. So winger wise, I just don't think we need one. Even though this guy's got a £12.5 million release clause, but we don't need a third right winger of the summer. Again, we don't need Sané. We don't need any of these guys. We're aware of them. That's all we need. This is what we want, the central midfielders. So a 17-year-old wonder kid who's already going to cost gazillions of pounds. I mean, imagine if he's at the top end of some of this stuff. Yikes. Does this kid have a release clause? We're scouting him a little bit more. Although, to be fair, he's a right winger again. I thought he was supposed to be the central midfielder. He's another right winger. We don't need another right winger. He's a striker. These are supposed to be central midfielders. I don't really understand why we're just being shown all of the wingers. Can we have a central midfielder now, please? Right, now we're talking central midfielder, I think. Yes, 17 years old. Blas Friggin. That would be a great name for a wrestler. I might bring you in immediately, Blas, because you've got a great name. 5-star potential again. He's the sort of player where I can see myself saying a little bit further down the line, I wish we'd have got him before he went to Monaco or wherever he might end up going, and then we have to pay £40 million for him. Very much a long-term signing, but at those kind of prices, I don't mind just taking a little bit of a gamble. We just stick £1.5 million their way without even scouting him properly. Anything less than sort of 3 million, I don't mind just gambling on. So we'll scout him while it's going on as well. We'll take any free transfers in on trial. Realistically, a 21-year-old at Bayern Munich who's good enough to play for us is going to be out of our price range at the moment. This is interesting because he is in our price range, although not in our ability range. We're not in the market for bringing in 2.5-star midfielders. Thanks. Again, someone we can afford, but why on earth would we want him? And then I think this is going to be the defenders now, which again, we don't really need, but if we find any bargains, we'll probably bring them in. Joel Matip now available on a free transfer. I mean, I didn't like him at 120 grand a week, but I potentially like him at 40 grand a week, just as an option. He's handy to have. I mean, he played games. He got a decent average rating for us. City have got themselves an English wonder kid. I don't know why I'm holding my chin. I'm pondering. Just having a little ponder while this is all going on. A 17-year-old Brazilian. Yes. Don't even care what position he is. Left back. Yes, we'll have him. Can we have two? Give us... This is another one. We'll just take a gamble on him. Get that off there. Not even any compensation to pay, I don't think. This is just going to be a free transfer. Yeah, we'll take that. Thanks. Any more of those, please? No. So that we don't need multiple South American right backs, I don't think. There's a goalkeeper, Dinko Koric. Less likely to take the gamble on a goalkeeper, mainly because they're not that exciting. Dave's getting very excited about something behind me. He wants the goalkeeper. Perhaps we do need to go back. If Dave wants the goalkeeper, maybe we do have to make a quick offer. He barked when I said I didn't want him. So let's put an offer in for the goalkeeper as well. I mean, that's for Dave. That's what he wants. What else am I supposed to do? And this guy, do we care about him? No. 24 years old and I have no idea who he is. He can just leave. Ihataren, I think we write off as a flop at some point. Probably now, actually. His potential has fallen down to 3 stars now. So I think now is the time we say, yeah, this one didn't work out. We brought him in for 13 million as a 19-year-old. But he's never really got in the team. Yeah, I think he's done. I actually think rather than loaning him, it's time to sell him in the hope that we can convince someone he's still got some potential. If we can get anywhere near his value, I'll be delighted. Right, these are the youngsters we were just looking at. The other thing we need to do, of course, is have a look at the free transfers that are available today. It is free transfer day. This is Dave's goalkeeper that he was after, so I guess we have to offer him a contract as well. Watch him be Champions League winning goalkeeper in 5 years' time. Right, so the other thing we want is any free transfers that might be any good. It's probably not going to be a lot. It usually is fairly slim pickings, but I think in the last couple of years, Hector Herrera was definitely a success. Gundogan, less so, but we're certainly willing to see what's out there. Verratti at only 31 years old. I mean, that's not a bad option, is it? When we're in the market for a midfield player. Only 31. Ooh. I am tempted. Especially if he's cheap. Which he is. Try and make him cheaper. I think he's much more likely to be a Herrera than a Gundogan at that age. Hazard at 33 is probably done. Yeah, you just have to look at the other teams that are in for these players. But maybe Matip, maybe Verratti. I think those two as freebies could be really handy. Yeah, probably not a Barcelona caliber player right there. We do still need to get rid of Gundogan. He's still knocking around the place. Last year's cheapo experiment. But I guess the one thing they can do is mentoring. Not that we are mentoring. We set up some mentoring groups. There you go. Got some mentoring going on. 3 years we've been here. We're doing mentoring, everybody. Oh, I'm becoming a real boy. We have some good news, bad news. Good news. Lionel Messi has been released by Paris Saint-Germain and is now willing to discuss terms with us. Bad news is he's retiring on the 15th of July. Was only willing to discuss terms with us as a coach, and we couldn't offer him enough money. So Messi will not be returning. The dream ending is not going to happen. We have brought a couple of those kids in, though. Blaz Friggin signed from Dynamo Zagreb. He's a 17-year-old midfielder with some decent potential. These kids are just going straight into the under-19s. This is the goalkeeper. Dave wanted to sign Dinko Koric. Never trust a dog to judge a goalkeeper. That should be the one takeaway you have from this entire series. And Joel Matip is in because he only wanted 23 grand a week. You know what? For a fourth choice centre-back, absolutely fine for 23 grand a week. It's a 2-year contract. He'll do a job. He'll do a job at that price. 23 grand a week. Some of our under-19s are on more than that. So, yeah, not going to argue with that at all. And we are pushing close to £3 million a week spendies again, which we haven't had since that first set of sales in the first season. But when you consider that the debt is really, really starting to come down now, I don't necessarily mind so much. I think we can probably work to our actual budgets now, knowing that this is going to be cleared by the end unless something dramatically goes wrong. I think our squad is done. It's the 5th of July. Unless we sell someone, I don't think I have any more plans. De Jong and Pedri both being linked with big moves in the media. Pedri with a £100 million plus move to Manchester United, which is definitely not happening. De Jong with an £80 million move to Liverpool, which, although the move could happen, it's Man United now as well. It's going to cost an awful lot more than £80 million. I think we talked before about 120. 120 is what we need. If we get 120 million for De Jong, then we let him leave. Otherwise, he stays. And we don't really do any more transfers at all. Right, we've swapped one old man midfielder for another. Verratti is in on a free transfer. Again, just to offer a little bit of experience. You know the drill with this kind of signing. We've got a lot of young players. Players like Verratti are going to offer a lot of experience to do the mentoring role that we always do. But he's in. Gundogan is out. He went for £2.7 million to Nice. And I really, really, really think we're finished this time. This is what the squad balance is looking like currently. I know there's still a few players in on there. We're not signing Luis Suarez. We're done with the old men now. I think they're the two that we wanted. So if we just shuffle around the mentoring groups again, Verratti's not leading one, which does seem like a little bit of a waste. You've got Tammy Abraham leading a group there. Isco leading a group. Isco's been a great signing. We can be critical of these old men signings, but Isco's about to go into his 3rd year as a key player for us. What a signing Isco has turned out to be. Memphis now in the 30-plus club doing his old man role for us as well. And we're letting this guy go. Similar reason. We had someone like this a minute ago. He's 23. No idea who he is. He's been down in the B team. He's obviously never featured enough in the development centre for me to care who he is. So we'll accept any offer for those kind of players. If you happen to be living in this game world looking for some cheap signings, just make an offer for someone in my B team. I'm accepting it without even looking what their value is. Just, there's no point in them being here. I'm never going to use them. I don't get the idea of B teams. I know they're a big thing in Spain, but to me as an English football fan, the whole concept of a B team is pretty repulsive. And I'd quite like them to just all be sold off anyway. Right, we're losing an affiliate club. Not that bothered, but we'll request another one. Again, in the interest of leaving the club better than we found it, if we can leave them with a really good affiliate club, that's a positive. But I think transfer-wise, I know I said this a minute ago and then we did 2 more. I really, really think this time, transfer-wise, we might be done. Maybe. Boys and girls, with a year to go, we have a net debt of 0. We still actually have outstanding debts of £277 million, but a current balance of 271 plus some reverse transfer debts. That's money that we're owed, so it counts as an asset. I think that's how this works. But currently, no debt. It's because we've sold a couple more players. We've got transfers hopefully happening. Pedro has gone to Benfica for £23.5 million. We don't need him. He was going to be our 4th choice striker. He's gone. Sandri has gone for £30 million to Atalanta. I wasn't desperate to sell Sandri, but I'm looking to bring another midfielder in, and that's a big increase on a player that had gone down to 3-star potential. Yeah, we'll take £30 million for Sandri. So Sandri has gone. A couple of youngsters have gone out on loan. The big player we're trying to bring in is Florian Neuhaus, German international, Mazzala attacking. This is part of the move towards having the flexibility to do a 4-3-3. Rice and De Jong are going to be my normal midfield too, but Newhouse could play in behind the strikers if he had to, or he could play as the Mazzala in a 3 with Rice or De Jong behind him. We want this guy. So we've made an offer for him, but we still need to sell more. It's I think it's a £52 million offer or something around that we've made, a £56 million offer. We don't quite have that amount of money, so we are still offering players out. Edvard Tagseth, who we brought in a couple of years ago and it hasn't really worked out. We've had a £6 million offer for him, so he's hopefully out the door. Facundo Torres, we've accepted a £17 million offer for him. So he came in last summer for £11 million. Again, hasn't worked out. We talked about him earlier in the video. He's hopefully out the door. We've also loaned out Ihataren to Getafe. They're paying his full wages and have a future fee agreed. It's only like a £4 million future fee, but he is effectively done as well. We're writing him off as a flop. And I just noticed we've got some clauses that we could potentially cash in as well. So £4.8 million for Araujo. Did we actually do that? 4.8 million. And then, I mean, that one doesn't make much difference, but Trincao as well. Right, can we take that clause? Have we done that now? And then Trincao, only £500,000 for him. Yikes. What's gone on there? Is he not having a nice time? He's doing it. I mean, we'll take it. Money is money. And we need to generate as much as we can. So we'll take those bits of cash in, which puts us up to £45 million. So we still need to generate another 11 million to get the Newhouse transfer through. We're getting 70% retained transfer money. So that means we would need like 18, 19 million pounds of player sales. We've currently got 39 million pounds of transfers on the way out. That doesn't seem right. I guess it is. No, it isn't. How does that work? Oh, because Gavi we turned down an offer for. So actual inactive, there you go. Active deals, 14.5 million up front. Still doesn't quite work, but we might be able to wiggle some wage budget around and squeeze him through if we can get rid of Torres and Tagseth, which is now the plan. We're debt-free. We can spend what we want now. Well, we're not debt-free anymore. We now have £75 million worth of debt. All of it is a swing in transfer debt, because we've taken on our first piece of transfer debt in the save, probably the only piece we're going to take. We had the reverse, the negative 30 million transfer debt before. We now have a net £41 million transfer debt. I don't mind that. I think that's something we can work with. And it was for a player that I think, along with Nonto coming in as our new striker, could well be the missing piece of the jigsaw. We've spent £40 million up front, another £75 million over the next 3 years, £115 million total on Jude Bellingham. We decided to go and get possibly, arguably, the best young attacking central midfielder in the world. He gives us the option to be that attacking Mazzala. I said I wanted to start bringing in some headline Barcelona-style signings towards the end of this save. We've not been able to get Messi. We have got Jude Bellingham. And at 21, I think it's actually a player where the club could long-term even make a profit on a player like this if the finances do go pear-shaped again. I don't think they're going to. I think financially we should still be fine. We should still be in a position to be on a net zero debt by the end of the season, by the end of the save. But I think Jude Bellingham is going to be such an important addition to the squad. I'm just thinking of him in those Champions League games where we're struggling to make those breakthroughs. Just having someone in there who can offer that creative spark, pick the lock, just be a creative force. Hold on, who did that just say we weren't going to be able to register in midfield now? Oh, not midfield, just in the squad in general. Dest and Torres. Well, Dest needs to be in. Torres, we are trying to get rid of. Nico needs to be in the squad. We're going to have to fiddle with this properly. Right, let's just make sure. We might have to sell some people here. So, for our squad, we want ter Stegen. We want Linda as our backup goalkeeper. I kind of want rid of Ezquieta. But I'll put him in for now just so we've got 3 goalkeepers. And then at the back, so defenders, we want Porro, Garcia, Sula, Papetti, Grimaldo, Dest, Baldi, Matip. And then when we come forward into midfield, Bellingham, obviously, Pedri, De Jong, Rice. Not bothered about Torres. Isco needs to be in. Verratti needs to be in. Not bothered about Tagseth. But Nico and Gavi need to be in. Reyes, we'll put him in if we can. Attacking midfielders. Fati, obviously. In fact, let's put strikers in on here as well. So Fati, Nonto, Abraham, Memphis, Demir. We've got room for 1 more player. So it's going to be Leonardo, Tagseth or Reyes. It's got to be Leonardo. We need that extra striker. So Reyes isn't going to fit in just based purely on numbers. But we do manage to get Gavi and Nico in. So that means, where is he? Reyes probably needs to go out on loan for the season. Let's offer him out on loan. Tagseth, the Tagseth deal still hasn't gone through. He turned down his move. Both Tagseth and Torres are turning down perfectly good offers to go and play elsewhere. It's frustrating. I'm hoping when they realise they're not in the squad, they might be a little bit more likely to leave. I guess the other thing we can do is offer them out for loan. As long as someone's paying their wages, it's fine. And but getting back to Bellingham, he even sits within the wage structure, £195,000 a week. We are spent up now. We're paying more in wages than we have been at any point in the save, apart from that very first season. We're back above £3 million a week in wages. But the projection's looking good. I think we're going to be fine. That is finished now. We are just looking to trim the fat on this squad now. Basically, Tagseth and Torres need to be out the door. I do not envisage any more signings. I know I said that before and then spent 100 million plus on Jude Bellingham. I really, really, really don't expect to be bringing in any more players now. I know I promised no more transfers, but I am just trying to do one last minute deal. It won't be on this episode now. We'll have to try and conclude it in Monday's episode. But all of a sudden, Matthijs de Ligt is on the transfer list at Juventus. Manchester United have had a £53 million offer accepted for him. I'm looking at that thinking, are you serious? 53 million for de Ligt? Yes, we'll have a bit of that. So I've immediately offered Eric Garcia out because we talked about that at the start of the video. They never really followed through on it. But Eric Garcia is worth £53 million. I've offered Juventus a swap deal. Unbelievably, they want Garcia plus £150 million. So a swap deal isn't going to be happening. But if we can get someone to take Garcia, whose contract is up in 2 years, and then reinvest the money straight into de Ligt, that seems like perfect. But I've not got time to do it now because it is match day. And this is what our new look team looks like. And I think it is a thing of beauty. Ter Stegen at the back, Baldi, Sula, Garcia and Porro. Obviously, we've got Papetti, who can come in at either centre-back spot. And we've got Grimaldo, who, when fully fit, will likely be in ahead of Baldi, although Baldi is progressing nicely. So I'm not so sure. They've both got 3-star current ability. Baldi's got all the potential. So Baldi might even end up being my starting left back this year. We will see how he gets on in this first game of the season. The midfield 3, I think it's the best. I mean, that could be the best midfield 3 in the world. De Jong, Rice, Bellingham. In this 2024 universe, we had an issue in central midfield this time last year. Now I think it's our biggest strength. Fati on one side, Pedri on the right. I'm going to start breaking the one rule that Miles gave me years ago. It's on a video somewhere on the channel where Miles helped me do a pre-release tactical recommendation video thing. And he said, never use 2 playmakers. And I never have. I'm looking at that thinking, if we've got De Jong as a playmaker all the way back here, Pedri can be a playmaker up there. It allows him to drift into these kind of areas and pull the strings here and Porro to bomb on past him and then effectively have Fati and Depay as a front 2. And the reason Depay is in the side is because Memphis Depay is now the new club captain and we have taken the captaincy off of Garcia. He had it for a year in which we were bottle jobs. So Depay is the new captain. Ter Stegen has moved up to be vice captain. Now he's got his new contract and isn't unhappy at the club anymore. He can be back in the leadership mix. Long term, obviously, Depay moves on, and I imagine ter Stegen takes over, and probably someone like Pepetti is going to be looked at as a long-term captain, or De Jong or Rice. But for now, it's Memphis Depay. So he is in for now. Obviously, we've got a lot of talent on this bench as well. New signing Nonto can come in up front. Depay can move out onto that side. Fati can do that side. Pedri can play over here. Pedri can play in the two central midfield positions if need be. I can see Pedri in that Mezzala role in there. I think he'd be brilliant at it. Declan Rice can drop back into the holding midfield role. De Jong can move further forward. Yusuf Demir can come in and play in either of the attacking midfield spots. Pepetti covers half the defence. Grimaldo the other half, and can come into midfield and onto the wing. Isco can play anywhere in this kind of area. Tammy Abraham can play anywhere in the front three. Tammy Abraham was the top scorer in La Liga the last 2 years, top scorer in the Champions League 2 years ago. He's arguably starting the season as our third choice striker. And then we've got all of this talent on the bench. We've got Gavi, we've got Nico, we've got Verratti and Matip offering a little bit of experience. Marcos Leonardo is a Brazilian wonder kid who was banging the goals in for Lyon last year. He's our fourth choice striker. Things are looking very, very positive for this football club. And just to really hammer that point home, at the start of this video, we talked about our midfield being our weakness. Well, now in the Media Dream 11, not only is it the first time we've had more players than Real Madrid in the Dream 11, they've signed Osimhen this summer, which is interesting, but we now have the midfield in the Dream 11 as well. Bellingham and Pedri, both in the Media Dream 11. Jude Bellingham is considered the best player in La Liga. Frankie de Jong, the second best. He's in at centre-back in this system, but obviously he's in that three. Ansu Fati's in there as well. Grimaldo, who's potentially not even going to be my starting left-back, is the best left-back in La Liga. Ter Stegen, the best goalkeeper. We're obviously going to romp La Liga. The question is, can we finally, in this final year of the save, achieve those 2 goals that we've now got? One is get debt-free again. Our debt currently standing at £43 million. Almost all of it is transfer debt. So ultimately, by the end of the season, when all these loans are paid off, we just need to make sure the club balance is more than the 40 million or so transfer debt as part of the Bellingham deal. So as long as our balance stays above 40 million, which it should, we're going to be debt-free. So that's part one. Then part two, can we win the Champions League this year? Keep your fingers crossed, boys and girls. We're going to do it. If you have enjoyed this video, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.